I'm Sherri, a CEO, speaker, coach, and author. As a business leader, I'm on a mission to empower women everywhere to embrace their most authentic self by challenging what you already know, then stretch to consider a different perspective. I share moments with people all over the world who are already on that path and are willing to share that perspective with me. Join me as we transparently consider this. Hey y'all, it's Sherri, and welcome to another episode of the PrettyGirlsWork podcast, Consider This, where we have conversations and explore different thoughts that help us become better at becoming our most authentic self, where we think about and provoke each other, provoke perspectives, and how we can consider something differently, just so that we can live more personally and professionally, authentically. Professionally and I can't do it today. We have to pause again. I'm so sorry. Woo! All my words are getting twisted. I'm going to start again. Ready? Woo! 1, 2. Hey y'all, it's Sherri, and welcome to another episode of the PrettyGirlsWork podcast, Consider This, where we have conversations that explore how to empower us women to be our most authentic selves, where we share practical ways of how to live authentically, personally and professionally. We challenge each other to think differently, to provoke perspective, to think outside the box and consider something differently. So let's get into it. Consider this. Today, I am so excited to have this guest, and I'm so excited to have this conversation because, to be honest with you, it's something that I've been wanting to do for a minute now. And when I say a minute, I'm gonna go into like years. We're gonna be talking about and considering. Here's what I want us to consider today: how do we embrace the metamorphosis when it comes to our life? And so, when I say metamorphosis, when I say that, I want you to start thinking in your mind of a caterpillar to a butterfly. How does a caterpillar go back to being a caterpillar after it's gone through the chrysalis and the cocoon and becoming a butterfly? It can't. And so a metamorphosis, just for this conversation's sake, it is when we go through a transformation that won't allow us, life and whatever the process was that we went through, life will not allow us to go back to what we were before. We can't, because we're so transformed. We're so different. So today, I can't tell you how excited I am to have this guest. This is going to be a personal show today. We're going to be talking about a lot of personal things. Some of you know that I have a book called The Metamorphosis. It's a diamond story. And it was so funny because me and this guest were just speaking literally today about why it is now Sherri Inspires. Why is it Sherri instead of Diamond? I've been known for years as Diamond. It was Diamond Inspires. My company's name is Diamond Enterprise. My self-esteem mentorship program is called Diamond Girls. When people see me on the street, it's like, hey, Diamond. People know me as Diamond. But to this year and here going forward, I'm going through a metamorphosis of my own, where I am allowing Sherri, who I truly am, to come to the forefront and be her most authentic self. And I say it like her as if it's not me, it is me. But the sum total of me is not just Diamond. So let's get into it. Let me introduce this wonderful person. She is an educator. She's a self-esteem workshop facilitator. She's an entrepreneur. She is an amazing mom. She's a faithful daughter. She is one of my dear friends. Please welcome with me, Miss Chris Mingo. Thank you, Chris. Hey, girl.
How are you?
I'm wonderful, sweetheart. How are you?
Great. I'm excited. This has been something, like you said, years in the making. So to finally be here on this platform, I'm high five. I'm excited.
High five. I know. And you've known me for years. So, even when I was saying to you, Diamond is going to have to go into the background, and it's going to be more Sherri inspired instead of Diamond inspired. You were like, what does that actually mean? And there's a metamorphosis happening on many levels in my life, and you know that personally. But let's just get into it. Let's get into it, Chris. Let's do this. So I've known you for years, and I've seen you evolve from like college student to educator to small business entrepreneur, and to I'm gonna relocate to another country. Like you've gone through and still going through different metamorphoses. I guess one of the questions I wanted to ask you is, when you started to experience, we're gonna call it just for this conversation, the metamorphosis. When you started to experience that. That was happening in your life, what was your response to it? Like, were you ready to embrace it, or did you have to go through something to even prep for it? Like, how were you able to embrace it?
In all honesty, I was not able to embrace it because I wasn't prepared. I didn't know what was happening. So the word, now I can use metamorphosis, it sounds like, this transformation, this beautiful change. But when I was actually in it, for me, that was about 2013, it was fear. It was chaos. It was what is happening, what's going on. There was so many things going on around me, and I just wasn't prepared. So when I fast forward to today, yes, I can call it a metamorphosis, but at the time, I didn't know what was happening. I was playing so many different people. I'm the only child.
Okay.
And as daughter, the mother to a teenager, the mother to a younger child, the girlfriend, I was playing all of these roles. And the one that I could not master or figure out was me.
Wow.
And I don't know if I told you this before, but it was actually during an interview with you for my co-op placement, when you asked me, who are you? And I said, oh, I'm a mother. No, who are you? You asked me about 3 times who I was, and I could not answer.
Yeah.
And that is stuck with me. Now I can say it with a smile because I can understand who I was. But at that time, that's something that played on my mind. Like, who am I? I didn't even know who I was. I knew who everybody else was. Without being the mom, the student, the girlfriend, the daughter, I didn't know who I was. So this metamorphosis, as I can call it now, I know who I am.
Yay! First of all, snaps for that. But it took some time. And what I would say is the metamorphosis comes, and it's part of our authentic journey for sure. But it's not just like, okay, I've gone through a metamorphosis and now I'm authentic now, and now it's good. I feel like it's an ever evolving, be ready. You might have gone through a metamorphosis and transformed this, but then there'll be another one coming to transform something else.
And now that I can put a name on it, now I can put what I call an overstanding. I'm ready for it. Game day all day. I'm ready for it.
All right, Mrs. I'm experienced now. Hey, what would you say is one of the key characteristics that you have to possess or develop? Even like you said, you didn't know how to answer that question when I asked you, but over time you could answer it now. What was something that needed to be developed so that when the metamorphosis does come, you're like, okay, I'm gonna embrace it.
Would have to be acceptance. That was a very difficult thing for me to accept what was going on. And I used to struggle with, well, if I accept this or I accept this person, that means I'm agreeing with it and I'm okay with it. And I struggle with. So for me, accept key. And now I just go off once I accept or acknowledge, I can address, and then I can adapt. And that's for me what has helped me to go through these ever evolving changes that I face sometimes on a daily basis.
Awesome. I think that's really key. Honestly, I think that's something that we all struggle with, because when it comes to acceptance, it means that what you're saying is, I'm good just exactly how I am.
Correct.
That part is the hard. I find the hardest part in all of my authenticity coaching and all of the clients, the mentors that I've had. One of the hardest things to do is say, I'm good just as I am. I have this saying, love yourself first, love yourself fierce, and love yourself for real. And the reason why I say that is because of that very thing, that people have a hard time accepting who they are because we're not taught how to love ourselves. We're not taught how to put our perspectives or thoughts or opinions first.
Correct.
I can do you first because you're my best friend, or I could do my mom, I could do my, but for me to put myself first, child, it's a struggle. And I'm telling you authentically, I struggle with it even to this day. And it's a real thing. So I appreciate that characteristic of acceptance. How do we get there? How do we get to the point where we're just gonna say, yeah, I'm gonna accept who I am because this is it. This is me.
For me, I had no choice. I was forced into it. Like I said, there was so many things coming from so many different angles that I just had to. And I just had to get comfortable in my own skin, comfortable with my own thoughts, comfortable with voicing certain things. Because there was a lot of hands in the pot. As much as I'm my own child, there was a lot of hands in the pot. I had to be okay and stand firm with, no, this is my decision. Not everybody would be okay with it, but I was. And whether it's going to be a negative or a positive outcome, I was going to be there on the forefront to deal with it.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Being able to get comfortable in our own skin. I love the fact that you're saying you're forced to it. Like being comfortable in your own skin is definitely an ongoing process as well. And I'm encouraging everyone to embrace that thought as you're listening to this podcast and as you're viewing this. Really think about what is one thing that's keeping you from totally accepting yourself truly as who you are. Because to be honest with you, if you think about it, there's no one else like you. And so for us to even start doing this comparison gang, like we do this comparison thing and we get on this I don't know what this thing is, this I'm going to compare myself to everyone that I see doing what I want to do and I wish I could, and if she looks better and they're smarter and all of this, we do this comparison thing as if somebody could be you. Child, please. There's only one you in this world. And so I'm in agreement with that. The word change and transform for many is used interchangeably. I've heard people say things like, yeah, I'm going through a change of life, or, there are certain things that I think I need to change. I would say, I'm not going to say what I would say. Let me ask you the question first. Would you say change and transformation are one and the same? Would you say that they're synonymous or are they different?
I would say that they have some similarities. And it's not so much the wording for me. To me, it's kind of like a potato. It's not even so much the wording, but what's behind it, what is going to be required. Because whether you're transforming or you're changed, there's going to be a difference. There's going to be expectations. There's going to be surprises. There's going to be so many different things. So I just more so focus on what is going to be like what was required of me to transform or to change. At the end of the day, to me, it all just really depends on, like I said, your intent and your and the process. Like whether it's a want or a need, you can be butting heads, but it's just like, what is the process?
Yeah. I think the reason why I asked that question as well is because, like I gave that example of the caterpillar and the butterfly, the caterpillar could never be a caterpillar again once it goes through the metamorphosis, and the chrysalis and the cocoon, once it's a butterfly, you can't crawl and eat leaves all day. That's not something you just can't do. I find that when it comes to change, and again, as you're right, like it does depend on your motive, your intent. When you say I can change something, I feel like you change and you can change right back. Like it's a flip-flop thing. But transformation is you can't. Like even if you wanted to. So that's my next question to you. Like, do you feel like, have you ever experienced a time where you've gone through a metamorphosis and felt like, man, I wish I could go back to the way things were? Or were you like, no, the way things are exactly how they're supposed to be?
Okay, so before I was who I am, there was many times, especially with my oldest child, that I was like, I wish I could just go back to 10 years ago or to when she was little, since she was smaller. And now I look at it as that was just me taking the easy way out because I didn't know what I was doing. Like I said, I was scared. Now I'm grateful and I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't go back because that would erase everything that I've learned, everything that I've experienced, connections that I've made, and all of those things. So for me now, as I stand firm with who I am, I would not change anything, and I have no desire to go back. I want to move forward and implement all the things that I've learned throughout this.
Awesome. Awesome. I love that answer. Thank you for that, man. I think it's important too, because I think that sometimes when we go through the process and we change, other people be like, no, you change. And they
Right.
might not necessarily know how to deal with that transformation and make you feel like as if you need to go back to your old self. Like, what happened to the old Chris? And some people, and let me just say this, there are going to be times where you go through a metamorphosis where some people are not necessarily going to be able to come with you. Not everyone is made to be a lifetime partner. There are some people that we always say a reason, a season, a lifetime, right? There's different reasons why people are in our lives. So some people won't be able to get it, and some people will be able to get it. And those that will, wonderful. Let's roll with it. So last question. Last question. Thank you for this conversation, by the way, because this is really enlightening. I think that during this pandemic, there's been a lot of transforming that had to have happened, like down to quarantining for 14 days. If you live in a house with more than having to stay in a house or a room or a space for 14 days and not be with other people. Like there's been a lot. Businesses have had to transform the way they interface with their clients or customers. There's been a lot going on. What would you say in this time has been the greatest transformation for you? What has been like this has been the best thing that has happened during this pandemic and even in this cultural social climate of anti-black racism, anti this and anti, like, what would you say is the best thing that's happened to you in respect to the metamorphosis?
Well, just to piggyback off what you said, reason, season, or a lifetime, there were certain individuals that I thought would be with me on my journey for so I went through, my change and I wish anymore. And that was something that 5, 6 years ago I couldn't even fathom. I said, this person is going to be with me, these people are going to be with me. And it's like as I kept evolving, the space was there. I was looking further and further behind me and I couldn't see them. And this 2020, this whole quarantine, COVID time, it helped me to be okay with it. I used to question, why aren't I missing this individual? Why aren't I feeling more lost without them? And this time has definitely helped me to, again, accept and acknowledge that a reason or a season or a lifetime is a real thing. And it played out very much so this year for me. So that was something that I had to embrace. And I questioned myself, do I have, malice in my heart? Was I maybe not being true to them? Why is it so easy for me to not have them anymore? And I just had to again accept they were there for a reason. They were a reflection of who I was at that point. And I just take what I learned from them, those
Yeah.
messages, and I just keep it moving. And I still love, but I just love from afar.
Yeah. So back to acceptance, basically. Back to accepting the fact that there are people that will be with us and people that will move on. There are people that will be with us physically, and then there are people that will move on as well. I know through this pandemic, I've lost some loved ones physically, and I also have lost some loved ones spiritually. Like it's been really interesting how things have transformed and have morphed. But thank you for that. I appreciate that. What we usually like to do here on Consider This is leave our audience with a compelling or a captivating thought, something that you want them to, like, after all has been said and done, here's what I want you to remember. What would be one thing in respect to this conversation and transformation and embracing the metamorphosis when it comes into our lives? What would be one thing that you would want everyone to really just remember?
I want them to remember that it's okay not to have all the answers. It's okay to feel. It's okay to cry. It's okay to write things down. It's okay to forget. It's okay. Just love who you are, love where you're going, and just always be self motivated. So
Yeah.
it's okay. It might be rocky, but it's definitely going to be okay. And the reward is sometimes it's beyond what you could even think of.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. Listen, if you guys want to reach out to my girl on Instagram, you can reach her at Minglers Boulevards, all spelt out one word. She drops wisdom on us all the time. And I just want to thank you so much for considering this conversation. Thank you for being here. I love you to pieces. Mwah. Listen, guys, the Metamorphosis is actually a book as well. The Metamorphosis is not just a conversation, but it's a book. You can catch it and you can cop it. You can get it. You can buy it on the Pretty Girls Work network as well, or the online shop. Please feel free to go there. Get one for someone who you feel is maybe going through a process themselves, that maybe needs upliftment, encouragement to know that they're not in this by themselves, that the metamorphosis is something that can enlighten and encourage and uplift your life. It is, if it's embraced. And as Chris Mingle has already said, as if it's accepted. This is what we need you to do. Accept it. You can also find it at sherryinspires.ca. Here's what I want you to do. Consider this. Resisting transformation just delays happiness. Embrace the process and live abundantly. That's what I'd love you to consider when you're thinking about this transformation and everything that I've got to go through. I'd love you to consider that it's better to transform and live than stay alone and stagnant. This is Sherri Sanjurjo signing off. Pretty Girls Work. Consider this.